Welcome to the Illuminate Your Essence podcast, where we cut through the distractions, programs, and stories that have created chaos in your life and discover the truth, bliss, and joy that exists beyond the external clutter and resides within. Welcome back to Illuminate Your Essence. I have a dear friend that I've known for about a decade. Her name is Kara Brandt, and she is in the studio today. She's going to shower you with so much goodness. This woman is so incredibly talented. She is talented in the way that she communicates her ideas. She has such a beautiful heart. She is a servant leader, and she loves to connect with others and show them a way to actually expand their consciousness, become their inner guru, and listen to the heart and that divinity within. So we speak the same language. In fact, as we were talking before we started record, I was just like, oh, it's just so wonderful to be able to speak and be able to recognize the truth in what's being said when someone says something. And Kara was laying down so many golden nuggets beforehand, and I know she's going to during this recording. So Kara, thank you for being here today.
Well, you're welcome. The pleasure is all mine. Ever since I've met you, I've just loved you and adored you, and we're soul sisters. And so, gosh, it's an honor to be here. Thank you.
Absolutely. And we have been. I mean, there are just those individuals that you know energetically. Oh, I just like them. I like being around them. I like being in their presence. They go there. Like a conversation to me is not a conversation unless we go deep and we really start to explore things, you know? So, and I love that about you. You have a beautiful voice. You're so talented with your voice, not just with speaking, but also singing. And you've just really shared just this intimate, beautiful light with so many around us. And so I just want to thank you for that. First of all, I really do. I have such gratitude and admiration for you. And so I wanted to start that off.
Thank you.
Absolutely. So you have this new thing, kind of an old thing, but you're bringing it up now. It's called the Inner Guru Academy. So I want to hear about this. Where did this start? Where did this begin? And talk to us a little bit about this.
Well, gosh, if I really go back to where it all began, it would have to be the moment I just had a big breaking point in my healing journey. I had spent several years living with chronic illness, mental illness, physical illness. I'd been to lots of different doctors, and none of them could figure me out. Some of them just looked at me and said, well, if I can't figure you out, then it must be all in your head, which is not what I wanted to hear, obviously, at the time. And I was just kind of the walking dead. I was a zombie. I was very disconnected from my body. I was in so much pain all the time, and I was just surviving for many, many years. And I remember being pregnant with my third baby, and I was really pregnant. So 8 months, I was in the home stretch, and I had gotten my other two boys who were under 6 playing in the other room, and I was sitting on the edge of the bed, and I was in so much physical pain from all the autoimmune stuff and the emotional stuff that I didn't know anything about personal development. I didn't know anything about how the connection between the emotions and the body. You know, I didn't even really know that I was suffering from severe PTSD from childhood trauma and abuse. Like, it was not at all in my consciousness. I just knew I was in excruciating physical and emotional and mental pain. And I'm sitting there literally going, God, just take me. Just take me now. Bring another woman into my husband's life to raise my kids, because I just can't do this anymore. And I was just having this epic pity party. And it's interesting. I actually fell asleep, and I don't really remember anything other than when I woke up, I realized I had an alarm clock I could kind of see in the distance. And it came to my consciousness that I had been asleep for hours. And I had 2 little kids under the age of 6, and that mama bear kind of kicked in, and I panic and I go to yell for them because I'm really huge and pregnant. I'm not one of those cute little pregnant ladies. I just get big everywhere. And so I'm like a beached whale laying there and I can't talk. Like nothing would come out of my mouth. And then I tried to get up to move and I couldn't move my body at all. I didn't know it then. I learned years later that I had actually had the first of a long line of mini strokes because I had an underlying heart condition that I hadn't identified yet. And so it was terrifying. So I'm stuck. I've been out for hours. Who knows what my kids have gotten into and they're boys. So, if you have boys, all of you know what I'm talking about. And eventually, I mean, it was probably 20 or 30 minutes before I could move or talk. And all that while I'm thinking of all the worst case scenarios. Inside, I'm just a wreck. And that mother bear is kicking in. I forgot about wanting to die. I forgot about wanting God to take me away. And it was all about my kids and making sure they were okay. And so eventually I make my way to the bottom level of our house. We were in a 3-level townhouse at the time. And there they were just watching cartoons and they were totally fine. But, and I'm like, this relief comes over me. But at the same time, I was like, okay, Kara, something's got to change. That like lit a fire in me that my kids don't deserve to have a mom that can't function. And for some, I went from wanting to die to like, okay, God, you and I together, we're going to make this happen and we're going to find solutions. And that was really the beginning of my personal development journey where I started looking outside of the box of Western medicine and I started praying and all these people. It's amazing when you shift your mindset and you open your mind and your heart to new things because you're desperate. They just start coming to you. Yeah. And I know you've had that experience where all these people and from unlikely sources, like, some people that know me know that I taught Reiki certification courses for 7 years. And Reiki was one of those first things that I came across all those years ago. And I found Reiki through this beautiful woman covered in tattoos with blue hair in the park. And she was like, still one of my very best friends today. And she lives in New Jersey. And, I don't know what I'd do without her. She's literally saved my life. So all these things. And so then I started this journey of learning myself, learning how to heal my own body, how to heal my mind, understanding the connection between mind, body, spirit. And eventually I started waking up and connecting. And how I started getting answers was because I lost faith in doctors. I lost faith in trusting anyone else. So I had to go inward and I had to start listening to my own inner voice of wisdom and truth, start connecting to source, whatever that means to all of you out there. And I started getting answers and sometimes they didn't make sense. Yeah. But I started following the breadcrumb trail because nothing else was working. So I had to do this way, like, okay, let's try this way. And I started getting the downloads. I go to the park today. Then I met my friend Stevie, and then she introduced me to Reiki, and it absolutely saved my life. After 2 sessions of energy work, like my body started opening up. I had huge trauma releases that I didn't even know were pent up in my body. I started feeling better, and it just snowballed from there. And then suddenly I find myself in the work because you're in the work for yourself and you start realizing how many other people in the world are suffering like I am and they don't know. And so you just naturally want to start serving. And so I answered the call and eventually, I started practicing and, got all these certifications and so now I've been practicing for 10 years and actually a little more than 10 years. And I'm living my best life. I'm healthy. The weight is just melting off and I'm living the life that I never thought possible. All those years trapped in this body that I thought was my enemy. And so the Inner Guru Academy really is that baby that has been sort of gestating for many years, and it's been developing and growing and building into a place, a safe haven where people can come and do that deep dive into developing emotional intelligence, resilience, really harnessing, not just discovering, but harnessing and becoming best friends with their own inner guru, right? And when you can do that, the answers always come. And no
Mhm.
matter what area of your life you want to see change, you will get the answers. They may not always make sense, but if you trust them and you follow that, what I call the breadcrumb trail, just take that breadcrumb, act on it, implement it, integrate it into your heart, into your body, into your mind, the answers will come and things will unfold. The
Yeah.
abundance, whatever it's finances, health, relationships, career, whatever it is you're wanting to see different, then it just unfolds, and you will start to manifest things in your life that you never thought even existed. I mean,
Mhm.
it's just a miraculous journey, but it's not really, when you really think about it, it's not a miracle. I don't know, this is another tangent, but to me a miracle is it's a miracle because we can't quite wrap our brain around something that was always possible,
Yeah.
but we can't quite comprehend it yet, but
Yeah.
we know it's happening. Like that to me is it's a miracle for that reason. But you start to comprehend things. You see, your mind and your heart starts to open to the mysteries of heaven or the universe, and you start to realize that everything is limitless
Yes.
and infinite and whole and one. And so it's been such a beautiful journey, not only to heal my own body, but to watch other people like become empowered and get so like connect. I know you feel this because you deal with this
Oh,
all the time. It's the
every part
best.
of me. Yes, because so many individuals want to go to gurus to show them systems. Well, if I do this systems, and they're so used to the doing. Oh, if I do these things, I will feel this way. I want more money because if I have more money, I'll feel less worry, less stress, and I will be able to sleep at night, and I will know what is coming forward, and I will feel safe. Everybody's looking for safety and love, right? Away from fear. Fear is the absence of love. We all just want love. And so we think that we have to get this in order to get that. And the bottom line is, it's actually the opposite. It's going within, right? It's
Yep.
going within. And it's interesting. I just have this quote. Do you mind if I share this little quote
No,
right
yes,
here?
please.
From a
Please do.
beautiful, beautiful book that Paul Ferrini wrote, Love Without Conditions. Miracles do not come from linear sequential thinking. They cannot be planned. One cannot learn to perform them or receive them. Miracles come spontaneously to the heart that has opened and the mind that has surrendered its need to control or know.
Mm, that's juicy.
Isn't
I
that
like
juicy?
that. Yeah.
And that's what happens when you are connected, when you learn to reconnect to that heart space, that all knowing place of divinity that's within us. It's just been masked by our program, stories, beliefs, all the things that we created, all the fear that we placed in there, all the trauma, the stuck emotional energy, all of those things have just blanketed it. And I love that you're showing individuals how to unpack that, to come back home to where they always have been. Once they're there, all the other stuff is easy. It spontaneously happens. Those miracles happen. The money happens. The connections happen. The health happens, right? It just
Mhm.
happens. And there's got to be a little bit of trust there, right? Sometimes it seems a little pie in the sky to some people. They're like, oh yeah, whatever. Like that just doesn't happen. But you and I are a testament. I've watched you change before my eyes. I don't know if you've witnessed my change, my transformation, but
For
both of
sure.
us have had this because of the fact that we've just learned to come home and trust it and take inspired action once we hear that inner voice say, it's go time, sister, right?
Yeah.
So, where did you start your process? Because you said you started, I mean, you had this beautiful epiphany that, okay, it's time to do something different. You're now in Reiki, which allowed you to shed some trauma, shed some energetic, stuck energy.
Mhm.
Now what? Now where do we go? Where do we start?
Hmm. Well, honestly, what really got me going and what helped me find Reiki, what helped me find any of it was really going inward. Just like you said, I, I, I can't tell you, if I had $1 for every time I told a client, stop squirming and just be still, like, stop. Like, if I could take their face in my hands and just, and it was almost kind of like I did that to myself. My inner guru, my higher self said, Kara, we're going to bring a halt to the old way of being. And so there was something inside of me. There was a decision that I made. I made a decision that I was no longer going to tolerate the things that didn't serve me anymore. And I was going to be still. And so I remember one day I was sitting in my chair by the window. It was soon after the big epiphany, and I had some scriptures actually open, and I was praying and I was meditating and I was pondering, and I was talking to God. I was talking to myself. I am one of those crazy ladies that will talk to myself wherever I go. Right? It's awesome. It's the only way. And so I'm sitting there and I'm talking to myself, going, "Gosh, this, because there's all the different parts of me that are trying to have a voice here." And I just remember going, shh, like, be quiet. It's just me and God. Okay. And it was just that choice. You have to make a choice, to stop squirming, to no longer tolerate things that don't serve you, the fear, the shame, the judgment, the having to fix things, the having to make sense of things, and just be. Just be.
Yes.
And so I think that was the beginning, being with God, being with my higher self, being in my body, really allowing myself to come into my body. Because like I mentioned before, I was like out there somewhere, and my body was somehow doing its best to function without me being fully engaged in it. Yeah. Because I hated it. I thought it was the enemy, and a lot of victimhood. So you've got to make a choice to get out of the victimhood. Don't tolerate the fear, don't tolerate the shame, the shaming, and things just are. Yeah. It's human nature, I think, because of that fight or flight, the protective part of our brain, the amygdala kicks in, when we're feeling stressed or we're feeling threatened, it fires the amygdala and it says, danger, danger. It tries to protect us. And part of that protection is trying to make sense of something. It's like, if I can make sense of it, then it's okay. Or I can move forward, I can move on, because it's too scary if it doesn't make sense, because there's unknown. And what if it's good? What if it's bad? What if it's bad? What if it's wrong? What if it just is?
Yeah. Yeah.
What if it just is?
I agree. I think that is the scariest part for people to take the leap of faith of, what if I actually listened to that still small voice that talks when I'm quiet, and I took action before the brain could start to talk me out of it, right? Yeah. Because our brain is there to keep us safe. Thank you, brain. I appreciate you here. Like, you have kept me safe and on this planet Earth. I appreciate you, but you really don't get to run the show anymore. My heart is now taking the lead, and I honor and I trust. And if I need solutions or ideas, I'll go to you, because you're really good about that, right? But understanding what it is and the why comes from here. The how and the when doesn't get to disrupt this creative process. And it's that trust and that surrender that allows you to finally say, you know what? I have done my life this way and it hasn't worked that well. I'm stressed, I'm tired, I'm overwhelmed, I'm frustrated. And most of us get to that place where you and I did, where we said, if life is going to be like this, it's a hard pass. I'm done. I'm done with life like this. In fact, if this is what life is all about, check me out. I'm going. And in that depth of hell is where the light finally turns on. It's like, okay, I'm no longer choosing to do it this way. I'm open to receiving something else, because I'm not doing it this way anymore. So thank you so much for the pain. Thank you, pain, for helping me understand. But it's that disconnect from the body. We have learned to hate our bodies. The world has told us to hate our bodies. And we also don't like the ways sometimes that it shows up. If it doesn't get our attention in subtle hints and cues, it is going to start yelling, right? It's going to start yelling.
Yep,
And I think a
for
lot of
sure.
us have autoimmune issues. And a lot of that comes from that nervous system always being in chronic stress all the time. And so we're not listening, are we? We're just not listening.
Yeah, exactly. It's so true. And as you were talking about, we're so afraid of just letting source talk to us, you know, and to me, the thought that came to my mind was, I think we're afraid of the truth.
Mm,
And the
mhm.
truth is actually the most fertile soil for you to actually grow and expand, because it's really the only information that is pure enough
Mhm.
and to allow you to actually make informed decisions moving forward, decisions that will actually make a difference.
Yeah.
And so one of the things that we do in the Inner Guru program through the Inner Guru method that I've created over many, many years is getting to
Yeah.
the truth of who you are. You know, sometimes we're scared of who we really are because the greatness of who we are is terrifying. I think Marianne Williamson has a quote about that. You know, it's the light within us that scares us, not the
Yeah.
darkness. And if we're
Yes.
really honest with that, because then what about all the responsibility that comes with that light? You know, oh, God forbid if I shine my light, then people are going to reject me. They won't like it. Or, you know, there's that fear of rejection, there's the fear of the responsibility. But then there's also the truth of the dark parts of us, because we have both. We have the yin and the yang. And so that being afraid of really seeing things as they really are is so fascinating to me, that we're so scared of it. What's that movie? Have you ever seen the Divergent series? You
Yes.
know, it's kind of a utopian thing, and she's in the simulator, and she finds herself in this glass box, and the water is filling up, and she's about to drown, and it feels real to her. It feels so real to her. But then she has that moment of recollection of like, oh, wait, I'm in a simulator.
Yeah.
This isn't real. And she touches the glass and says, this isn't real. And what happens? It
Yes.
just falls. It
Yes. Yes.
falls away. And I'm like, how often are we in our own little world? And I was for so many years of false belief, limiting
Mhm.
programs, the fear and the shame of the perceptions of what I thought was happening in my body, what I thought was happening in the world, what I thought happened to me as a child. And as I peel those layers away and really get to the truth of the matter, it's like so much of what was causing me pain in my body, in my mental and emotional state, wasn't even real.
Yeah.
It sure felt real. And
Oh, yes.
it's okay to validate that. In fact, that's a part of my process, is allowing yourself to feel what feels real and just really sit with it.
Mhm.
But there's a difference between sitting with it and sitting in it. And so anyway, getting to the truth, that's what came to my mind. I didn't mean to go off on that big tangent, but like that's, I think, often what we're afraid of is the truth, when it's actually the truth that sets us free.
Yeah.
It not only sets us free, but it's like an anchor. It
Yeah.
acts as an anchor when we're most vulnerable.
Yeah.
And it's just,
Yeah.
it's again, it's that fertile soil where we can plant, you know, plant those seeds to really grow, you know, into what we were meant to grow into. And
Absolutely.
and it allows us to, again, I'm going off because I'm just so damn passionate about
Yeah.
it. This idea of getting to the truth is really the magic sauce of living. We can really embrace the pain. You were saying something about how the pain is beautiful and it's wonderful. It's like, thank you, pain. Like, one of my taglines for my business, Beautiful Life Mentoring, is sometimes life is messy, and that's the beauty of it.
Mhm.
Because when you're in oneness, when you're in the truth, when you're just being, and you're not trying to make sense of it, you're not squirming, you're not in the fear, you're not in the shame, then it doesn't matter what's happening to you. It
Yeah.
doesn't matter what your circumstances are. You're just like, whatevs, because you're right. The peace is here
Yeah.
inside. The
Yeah.
oneness is there. The joy and the happiness, the fulfillment is all here. And it doesn't really matter
Yeah.
what's
Yeah.
happening outside of you.
Exactly. It's a matter of reuniting with that body, right? seeing the cues that the body and the emotions, our emotions and our body just literally tell us when we're not in alignment with our divinity. It's like, wait a second, let's course correct. Check in with your thoughts, check in with your story. You're out of alignment, right? And becoming that aware individual. And it takes practice. I remember when I first started to be aware, I thought, oh my gosh, I am a crazy person. Like, it never freaking shuts up. Like, it's like this unbelievable out of control monkey in my brain that will not settle down. And that's the starting point. You become aware, and there's a little bit of discomfort with that awareness. And then you start to surrender and go, okay, I know when you're talking and I know when you're talking. And I am okay with both, because we're going to be coexisting for the rest of our lives here, right? And as long as my nervous system is nice and calm and in the parasympathetic and not in fight and flight, we're going to be just fine, right? So we learn how to do all of those things. We learn how to come back to our heart. We learn how to be aware and learn how to move those emotions, move that stuck energy, because most of the time when we have physical pain, it's just stuck energy and motion. Just get that out of there, right? Now we're in a place of absolute divine alignment. We're connected to ourselves so we can connect to others. We're connected to the divine, right? We're going upward and then outward. And that's a beautiful place to be, isn't it? Because at that point, you don't necessarily need someone else to tell you what to do. And I think you and I both had this conversation where what a beautiful place it is to be when you love to hear other perceptions and ideas. And sometimes it's nice to have someone who can capture blind spots, and you're always growing, you're always evolving. But it's not necessarily that you are finding someone who's going to fix you anymore. And I see this in the personal development world a lot right now, where people hop from one person to another person, to one system, to another system, to one conference, to another conference. And a lot of the times I see that they are looking for someone to fix them. What are your thoughts?
Oh, this is a soapbox, girl. I could go on and on and on about, because, I spent years speaking on stages at seminars. I helped create a breakthrough program for a seminar company. And, you see these I call them serial seminar attenders. They just go and go and go. And they're almost addicted to the high that they get there, the connection they get there, the validation they get there. But what's missing is they're looking to the guru on the stage and they're going, I'm going to be that. And they're totally missing what's already there. And they're totally disconnecting it. So then they go try to be that, and they fall all over themselves. They get sicker, or they get more in debt, and their finances are a bigger mess. And I saw this over and over again. And they come back to the seminar. They're like, well, something's not working. I better get my next dose. And maybe I didn't listen as well this time. But really what's missing is they're relying on all these external sources to give them the answers. And they're sort of transposing themselves into that other person's experience, rather than allowing themselves to have their own experience.
Amen.
And really just, okay, my experience gets to me my own. What is my body telling me? What is my inner guru telling me? And and so then I love gurus. I love what they teach, because I've been blessed by them in my life. I've had so many mentors that I've paid good money to help me shift. But I always make the biggest real and lasting changes when I'm in the driver's seat. When I take that information and I go, well, that might have worked for them, but that just doesn't resonate. And so you can take that moment when you're sifting through that information. And I'm not, again, I want to be clear, just because you go to seminars a lot doesn't mean you're not connected to your inner guru. Just because you have a lot of mentors, like, I love that people are hungry and thirsty to learn. Go get them, Tiger. Like, go and access all the truth that's out there in the world, but do it on your terms. Do it connected to your own power, your own personal power. And just because this works for someone else doesn't necessarily mean that's your path. really connecting to your flow, your energy flow. Do you know what's interesting is so many mentors that actually speak in seminars and on stages are like warrior personalities or very
Yeah.
masculine
Yes.
energy.
Yes.
And so then, but what's interesting is mostly women. There's men that go, but you'll see more women drawn to personal development. So then they're coming to these seminars and they're watching the masculine energy. I mean, I know you've got a
Oh
soapbox about
man.
this too. And then they try to copy that energy and then they run themselves to the ground because it's not who they are. It's not their energy.
They're like, they're driven.
Yes.
Masculine energy is driven, which is great
Yes.
once you've created, right? Like we
Yes.
have both masculine, we have both feminine and masculine. Women have forgotten how to create in feminine energy. And that's where we
Yes.
thrive. We thrive when we create in pleasure and joy and
Fun.
in the soft flow, right? That's
Mm.
where we create the magic. And then we can use our masculine to go, okay, well, now let's take it to the world. What do we do next? Right. But we do it in divine alignment. We don't
Yes.
do it in throw spaghetti against the wall and see what happens and see what sticks kind of energy.
Yeah.
And so I love what you're saying because women start to really tune into your voice and go, is that how I create? Will I find joy and peace and openness and surrender in that? Or am I going to feel tired? And am I going to feel restricted? Right? Because most likely that's not your path if it is.
Right. And as you're listening, as you're really learning to harness your inner guru and really learn the art, I call it an art. It's an art of listening.
Mm-hmm.
Because the art comes in with the nuances of your unique self, right? It doesn't look like anyone else. There might be some similarities to someone else on the planet, but really you are so unique within yourself. So as you're learning the art of listening and you're learning discernment and to be disciplined in yourself, and that discipline is not motivated by success or achievement. It's motivated by peace and connection and love and creativity. That's where it's really that self-discipline, willpower isn't really a thing. That's just forced energy and it's not sustainable. But discipline is like, it's this connected place of like, exactly who you are, exactly what you're trying to create. Your vision is crystal clear and you are no longer tolerating all the garbage because it's like you're just so aligned with like what you're wanting to create. And so it's really a space of creativity and passion and love for what you're going for. It's just a beautiful thing. Again, I don't ever want to badmouth any gurus out there that are doing good because I feel like God and the universe has a way of doing good through people who may not have the best intentions. And there are a lot of gurus out there that are just out for the money and they're really good at manipulating. They're again, that's something I saw behind the scenes was there's an art to manipulating the people at seminars so that they will buy into the program.
Yes.
And so, folks, big wake up call here. There is a system in how to get you to buy in, and you have to be smarter than that system so that whatever you're buying into is what you need, what you actually need.
Yes. And I really feel the reason I'm so excited to have you here on this program, because we are speaking the same language and we do teach very similar concepts. Yours is, the Inner Guru Academy. Mine is Illuminate Your Essence and Truth and Daring to live your truth in a fake world. And what I believe, and you and I had this conversation before, our goal is not for them to need us anymore. After a while, right? After 6 months, a year, once they really get in alignment, and most likely they will feel so on fire, they will want to teach it too. And can you imagine the good that will happen in this world when we all align with our inner divinity? We're all open to abundance in every form that there is: wealth, health, connection, relationships. We have this beautiful, deep inner peace and inner love for ourselves, which radiates outward. I can't wait for the ripple effect to happen. That's why I was like, absolutely come and be on my podcast, because you and others like you and I are going to teach this principle of coming back home. And once that individual comes home, there is massive good that's going to happen. This world will change from this inner realization. And some will hear your voice, Kara. Some will hear my voice. And it doesn't matter, because there's so many individuals that are yearning for this, what we're talking about. They want this, they desire it. Their soul is saying, yes, yes, this is possible. In fact, those listeners out there that are going, is this possible for me? Yes. Not only is it possible, but it's just saying, please, please, will you take a chance that this might be something that is going to actually promote long-term change for you? Change meaning that we're not fixing brokenness. You were never broken. You're just waking up to your wholeness that was always there. You're waking up to the divinity which is inside of you that you can trust always. You just haven't been able to hear it because of the trauma, the programs, the beliefs, the stories, the fear that's blanketed it over your heart, over your soul. We're just going to help you unpack that, right? And so, Kara, I would like to hear from you. Where do you start individuals on this process? Like if someone was going, I love this. I am all in. I want to know how I get going on finding my own inner guru. Where do you take them as the first golden nugget? And what's something they could do themselves before they even talk to you? What is somewhere they could start? Where would you take them?
Well, honestly, the first place I go is creating some level of stability in their body and in their mind, because so many of us are in that fight or flight, where I call it the stress cycle. We're just in the hamster wheel and we're just trying so hard, and we're just, the little engines that could but can't ever, because we're stuck. We're not really growing and expanding, and we're running ourselves ragged. And so that first step is really helping them get out of the struggle, the squirming, and just clear any clutter that just for sure is not serving them anymore. And so one of the first things I teach them is the zero tolerance policy. We just have zero tolerance for certain things, and that's shame, that's fear, and that's things that aren't even ours. I teach that idea that sometimes we take on energy and ideas and thoughts and beliefs that weren't even ours to begin with. We didn't choose into that, but somehow it's a part of our programming and our way of being. Creating an awareness of those things, and also the things we have zero control over. How much do we spend time, energy? So really, those first few weeks that I work with people is just clearing the clutter, connecting them to some level of stillness. And just being. And part of that is that knowing that they're enough.
Yeah.
Just as they are. Like, okay, just let it be. Just let everything be what it is. And so if we can start from that space of like stability, where our ability to absorb and take in more and go even deeper to heal those deeper traumas and those deeper programmings, we have that ability and capacity to do that at that point, because then we're not already over stimulated or over drawn. Our emotional bank accounts are not already overdrawn. So we try to fill those emotional bank accounts and bring some stability first. And that's where we start.
That's beautiful. And it's like that quote that we were just, that I just read, 10 minutes ago, about the fact that we cannot create miracles in that binary thinking. So that's where we start. We start in getting out of the safety programs that we thought were helping us. And that's why they've become a habit. So that's beautiful. I love who you are. I love what you're doing for this world, Kara. And I just want you to know how grateful I am that you share so much wisdom today on today's show. I am certain that this is going to impact so many individuals. And there are some that are saying, oh, I need Kara in my life. How do I find Kara Brandt? So why don't you share with us how they can reach you?
Well, you can find me on Facebook, Kara Brandt. I've got a private group that would love to have you be part of, where I'm always adding free content, and it's called Discover Your Inner Guru with Kara. But you'll have to friend me first so I can add you. And then you can go to yourinnerguru.com. I've got a free training there. It's about 20 minutes long, and I offer 3 key things that you need to reclaim your health today. And so it's a free gift, and that's how you can get in contact with me. If you want to meet with me, it leads you to a clarity call, and we can chat. So
Wonderful. Again, thank you so much. And for those of you, just a little spoiler alert, my Audible version of Truth and Dare, Daring to Live Your Truth in a Fake World, is going to be released here very soon. So check on that. Most likely by my goal, I'm just going to put it out there. This is going to be the date, 12/22/22. So this will be coming out next week on whatever that day is. What is that day? We're going to check out what that day is so I can tell you. It is the 21st. So actually my Audible book should be available the next day. So check for that. Some of you are learners audio and hear things better than read. So I'm very excited to be able to get that in your hands. But until next time, let's continue this deep dive, the dialogue, and the discussion here on Illuminate Your Essence. We'll see you next week. Thank you for listening. I invite you to continue the dialogue, the discovery, and the deep dive on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. Also on my website. Feel free to download your free copy of the 5 steps to discovering your inner voice and begin your journey of discovering the truth within today.